Everything in Landman Season 2 has been building toward one explosive moment, and Episode 3 finally proves it. Tommy is done holding back. After weeks of disasters, secrets, and betrayals piling on top of him, Episode 3 shows a version of Tommy we haven't seen in a very long time. A man with nothing left to lose, and everything to fight for. From Cammy's emotional collapse to Cooper's dangerous debt and Tommy's showdown with Galino, this episode doesn't just raise the stakes, it flips the entire season upside down. Episode 3 of Landman Season 2 wastes no time showing us that Tommy has officially reached his breaking point. And honestly, it's about time. After everything that happened in episodes 1 and 2, the lies about Monty's finances, Cammy's grief turning into exhaustion, Cooper's secret $8 million loan, and the cartel suddenly hovering over their lives, Tommy realizes that if he doesn't take control now, his family and the entire company will collapse right in front of him. The episode opens with Tommy drowning in the fallout of Cammy's discovery. She finally uncovers the truth about her late husband's hidden debts and shady deals, and the emotional punch hits her harder than anything she has faced so far. The truth breaks her wide open, leaving her confused, angry, and questioning everything she ever believed about the man she married. For the first time since the season started, she isn't just shocked. She's tired, exhausted to her bones. She's been fighting lawsuits, protecting the company, pretending she had everything under control, only to realize Monty left her with a disaster so big it could sink everyone tied to Texas. And as she crumbles under the weight of it all, Tommy steps forward in a way we haven't seen yet. Not as her employee, not as someone trying to stay on the sidelines, but as the person who recognizes that if he doesn't guide her, she will lose everything. Tommy sees her sitting there, broken by the truth she never asked for, and something inside him finally snaps into place. He tells her that running away from the company won't save her, that destroying the company out of resentment won't make the pain disappear, and that Monty's mistakes don't have to be the thing that defines her future. But even as Tommy tries to hold her together, Cooper's situation grows darker by the minute. The celebration over his oil strike fades fast as Tommy uncovers the real danger behind that miracle. Cooper didn't just borrow money. He tied himself to a lender connected to Galino, the same cartel-linked figure who could crush them all without blinking. Tommy knew Cooper made reckless decisions before, but this one is different. This one is deadly. And the moment Tommy realizes how deep Cooper is trapped, something inside him hardens. The guilt he has been carrying, every moment he failed Cooper as a father, rises to the surface, and it becomes the spark that pushes him forward. He knows he can't change the past, but he refuses to let his son get swallowed by the same kind of darkness he tried so hard to avoid. Episode 3 marks the moment Tommy stops reacting to disasters and starts acting like the man who will fight for his family, even if it means standing face to face with Galino himself. And as Cammy collapses under the weight of Monty's secrets and Cooper unknowingly steps closer to danger, Tommy realizes there is only one option left. Take over, take control, and take the fight straight to the people threatening everything he loves. As Episode 3 digs deeper into Cammy's storyline, everything she feared becomes painfully real. The weight of Monty's hidden life, the debts he left behind, and the under-the-table deals she never knew existed finally crush her spirit. She isn't just overwhelmed. She's furious, heartbroken, and ashamed that she spent years defending a man who was quietly building a financial disaster that now threatens every person connected to Texas. Episode 3 shows Cammy at her most fragile, yet also her most honest. The mask she has been wearing since the season began completely shatters. She stops trying to pretend she's fine. She stops holding herself together for the sake of appearances. She lets the anger spill out, saying that Monty didn't just lie. He abandoned her long before he died. He left her with a mess so big that even the legal team doesn't know where to begin fixing it. For the first time, she admits she resents him. She resents the man she thought she knew. She resents the company he forced her to carry on her back. And she resents the pressure of having to keep a legacy alive that was built on lies she never agreed to. That resentment soon turns into a dark temptation, letting it all burn. She tells Tommy she's thinking about selling the company, walking away, leaving the oil world behind forever. To her, it feels like the only way to escape Monty's shadow. But Tommy doesn't let her fall apart without a fight. While Cammy is falling apart under the weight of Monty's secrets, Cooper's storyline in episode 3 quietly turns into one of the most dangerous arcs of the season. What looked like the luckiest moment of his life, all 6 of his wells hitting oil, slowly transforms into a ticking time bomb that nobody can ignore anymore. At first, Cooper tries to enjoy the victory. He finally feels like he's proving himself, showing the world that he isn't just Tommy's son or a kid trying to find his place. But that celebration is short-lived because the truth behind his success is a lot uglier than anyone wants to admit. The $8 million he borrowed wasn't just a risky decision. It was a trap. A trap laid by a lender tied directly to Galino, the cartel-linked figure who doesn't forgive, doesn't negotiate, and definitely doesn't let people walk away after signing a contract. As Tommy pieces together the truth, the horror hits him like a punch to the chest. Cooper's deal isn't just financially risky, it's life-altering. The kind of mistake that pulls people into a world of violence and control that's almost impossible to escape. Cooper, who thought he was being bold and independent, unknowingly handed over power to the worst possible person. And by the time Tommy realizes it, it's already too late. Galino's people know who Cooper is. They know where the wells are. They know he owes them far more than money. The episode makes it painfully clear that Cooper's strike wasn't a blessing. It was the bait. And Cooper walked straight into it without ever stopping to think about the consequences. The guilt eats Tommy alive. Every regret he's been carrying all season. Every moment he failed Cooper as a father. Every time he wasn't around when Cooper needed him. Suddenly feels like it has led to this exact moment. A moment where his son is in danger because he didn't guide him enough, didn't teach him enough, didn't protect him enough. Tommy blames himself, even if he doesn't say it aloud. He sees Cooper's mistake not as recklessness, but as the consequence of a father who wasn't there to help his son grow into the kind of man who makes smarter choices. And that guilt is what transforms Tommy into the version of himself this episode is building toward. The version who is ready to step into the fire instead of walking around it. As the pressure closes in, Cooper finally begins to understand the size of the mess he's created. Fear replaces confidence. Panic replaces excitement. He tries to pretend he can fix it on his own, but deep down he knows he's trapped in a contract he doesn't fully understand, with people who don't play by normal rules. And right when he starts to unravel, Tommy becomes the one person who refuses to let him be swallowed by the consequences. Episode 3 turns Cooper's miracle into a nightmare. Not because of the oil, but because of the chains attached to it. And the moment Tommy understands that Galino practically owns his son, everything changes. What was once Cooper's personal mistake becomes Tommy's personal war. Episode 3 finally delivers the moment the entire season has been building toward. Tommy standing face to face with Galino, the man whose name alone has been casting a shadow over every storyline. And the second Tommy walks into that confrontation, you can feel the entire energy of the episode shift. This isn't business anymore. This isn't about oil, contracts, or financial mistakes. This is personal. Tommy isn't talking to Galino as a negotiator. He isn't there as a representative of Texas. He isn't there because he wants a deal. He is there because his son's life, future, and freedom are being held in the palm of a man who doesn't care about consequences. Galino doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't make threats. He doesn't have to. His power comes from the calm way he reminds Tommy that Cooper signed a binding contract, a contract that makes him responsible for every cent, every risk, and every drop of oil pulled from those wells. Galino makes it clear that Cooper isn't just indebted, he's owned. And hearing those words hits Tommy with a force stronger than any physical blow. For a moment, Tommy doesn't even speak. His silence isn't fear, it's fury. The kind that grows from a lifetime of regrets. The kind that explodes when a father finally realizes he might lose his child because he wasn't present when it mattered most. The guilt he's been carrying through the entire season finally boils over. He remembers every time he pushed Cooper away, every argument, every moment he avoided being the very father he wished he had growing up. And now, here he is, watching another man claim ownership over his son's future. But Tommy isn't the kind of man who collapses under pressure. Episode 3 shows him transform that guilt into something fierce, something unstoppable. Episode 3 doesn't slow down after the confrontation with Galino. In fact, the emotional fallout that follows is what truly marks this episode as a turning point for the entire season. When Tommy returns home, the weight of everything he's carrying is almost visible. Cammy's collapse, Cooper's debt, Galino's cold threats, and the guilt of a lifetime pressing down on him all at once. But instead of breaking under the pressure, Tommy does something completely unexpected. He steps fully into the role he's been avoiding his entire life. He becomes the leader, the protector, the man who finally chooses responsibility over fear. And the moment he walks back into the family's orbit, you can feel that shift changing everything around him. Angela sees it first. She sees the heaviness in his eyes, the way he moves like someone who has just faced a storm that hasn't passed yet. She cares for him the same way she always has. But this time, Tommy doesn't push her away. He doesn't hide behind silence or pretend nothing is wrong. He lets her in, slowly, carefully. And that small emotional opening becomes one of the most human moments of the entire episode. The man who has spent years avoiding vulnerability finally lets himself feel something other than guilt and anger. And in that quiet moment, he realizes that his family isn't just something he's fighting for. They're the ones holding him together. At the same time, the episode begins to rebuild the fragile bond between Tommy and Cooper. Their relationship, strained and complicated, finds a new rhythm as both of them face the consequences of Cooper's mistake. For once, Cooper doesn't try to defend himself. He doesn't act out or make excuses. He admits he messed up and he admits he's scared. And instead of meeting him with judgment, Tommy stands beside him, offering something Cooper hasn't felt from him in years. Understanding, support, real fatherhood. It's not a dramatic moment, it's not loud, but it's powerful because it marks the first step toward healing a relationship that has been cracked for too long. Meanwhile, Episode 3 surprises viewers with a warmer thread woven into all the tension, the return of TL to the family home. After spending so much time isolated in that retirement facility, TL finally reconnects with the people he once pushed away. Seeing him share quiet moments with Angela, dancing with her, laughing softly, or simply watching the world with a softer expression than we've ever seen from him brings a bittersweet but hopeful tone to the episode. For a man who built his life on hard edges and harsh choices, this softer side feels like a reminder that even the toughest characters have hearts that still beat beneath the scars. And these little moments matter, because they bring balance to a season that has been drowning in tension and grief. But the calm is temporary. The episode ends with a chilling reminder that Galino hasn't disappeared. His influence lingers over every storyline, every decision, every character. The cartel doesn't forget debts, and they don't ignore families who try to fight back. The seeds of conflict planted in Episode 3 are going to grow into something massive, something that could reshape Tommy's fate, Cooper's future, and the entire direction of Texas. And as the final scenes play out, one thing becomes clear. Tommy is no longer a man reacting to disasters. He is a man preparing for war.